Welcome to Say Like a Champ, episode 229. It's your boy A-Dub.
Hey, boys, Trizzy, what's up, SLAC fam? Welcome back, y'all.
Welcome back. We're back in the building. And I'm going to be honest, man, right out the get-go, man. This is going to be a tough one for me. We got to talk about the Cowboys for sure.
Yeah,
But
I know that.
it was an interesting weekend, the first weekend of the playoffs for sure. And we're going to go through that in a minute. We're going to go through game by game, but definitely we'll be addressing the nonsense that we saw with the Cowboys. But first things first, so you know what we got to do. We got to welcome in our family and do a little bit of check-in and everything like that. So I do see a lot of people in the building already. That's what's up. We got moms.
Yeah, mom and dad.
We got Pops, Kelly, Stephanie Washington, Unc, and Grace. That's what's up. Welcome in everybody that's commented so far. We appreciate y'all, SLAC fam, and definitely keep the comments coming because we know we love to have you as part of our show. And Unc says it's a frozen Texas. How have you been feeling?
I was gonna say, stay warm, Unc. I seen it, man. It's crazy over there right now. Like it's crazy how cold it is over there. They got a crazy cold front, man. So stay warm, Unc.
Yeah, hopefully the power grid can hold up.
Yeah,
for sure. And Stephanie Washington, do we have to? Unfortunately, we do. I know you're ride or die, and I do want to say, Stephanie, I appreciate your, some of your Facebook posts up, just talking about how you're going to be staying loyal because I'm the same, man. It's like it sucks, but here we are. We Cowboys fans, we kind of go with the flow with that, and we are used to this type of letdown, unfortunately. So. Oh man. But everything else good with you though, Strizzy? How are you feeling?
Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? It's funny. I didn't have any football playoff woes, but I literally picked up my phone a little bit ago, and this dude posted, just a reminder. The first current 24 picks for the draft next year. And I just see at the very top, Panthers, but basically it's going to the Bears. You know what I'm saying? So I felt good, Nobody's hurt my feelings this weekend, and then all of a sudden I see this. No, demo, we don't have our first round pick after winning 2 games for the season. So
catching straight bullets.
Yeah, I'm catching strays. You know what I'm saying? So it's unfortunate, but I'm doing good. I can't complain. Health is good. Kids are good. How about you?
Same. Yeah, everything's going well. I'm definitely blessed and getting back into a routine. Yesterday was MLK Day, though. We got to go out and do some service. So Grace, found a spot for us to go serve. So that was really cool. So it was a nice little weekend, but ready to get back to business for sure. And excited to talk some sports. So let's go ahead and do it. Let's go ahead and pull up these graphics and get into our first topic. What's up next?
Oh, let's check it out, man, real quick.
Tune to NFL Talk. Let's get it.
So, as we talked about, we are going to go game by game. Saturday morning, the first game was the Texans hosting the Browns, and the Texans came out in a big way, 45-14. We know the Browns had kind of that veteran presence, but rookie C.J. Stroud was sharp early, and they jumped out to a big lead and then handled business. So, what were your thoughts about the Texans?
Heartbreak. Every time I see this man balling out, I just keep thinking to myself, this is who I wanted. I said, this is who I wanted. This is who should have been the first round pick. And I love seeing him elevate his players, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This team won 3 games last year. Before Stroud and Coach Ryans came through, nobody was talking about the offensive line of the Texans. No one's talking about Nico Collins being a threat as a wideout. You know what I mean?
Right.
Paper before the season started, you're looking at this team like, who's their best offensive weapon? And Antonio Pierce, their running back. You know what I mean? And even he didn't have the greatest year this past season. So, you look at everything that he did, clear runner for offensive rookie of the year.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, man. I thought it was a wrap. I was like, successful season. You know what I'm saying? They got to the playoffs. They won the division. So hats off for a first year for them, and I really thought Browns were going to take it, and they destroyed them. Texas destroyed the Browns. So, man, he's making me a low key fan. You know what I'm saying? Out of the Texans a little bit. I love watching him play, man. He's, as of right now, I know it's only his rookie year. Hopefully, there's no sophomore slump, which I don't see happening because he's got great coaching staff behind him, and he's played these last 4 or 5 games without Tank Dell.
Right.
So. Man, I just feel like, the future is extremely bright in Texas, you know what I'm saying? So, shouts out to the kid, man. They balled out this weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I was shocked, but definitely pleased by it. Being kind of like you kind of said, kind of becoming fans and kind of rooting for them and watching them throughout the year, talking about them a lot, and they did a great job, and the defense really stepped up. Those turnovers made a huge difference. So we'll talk about next week's playoff matchups in a minute. So we'll talk about that, but definitely very happy for the Texans and for CJ Stroud for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, the pick'ems. You guys talking about the pick'ems in there, and we will talk about it now. But Stephanie Washington mentioned her coworker Alex. He got all the picks right this week, so he picked all the upsets right. He picked the favorites right.
Nice.
So he did a great job. It was definitely a rough week for everybody else. Everybody else had like 1 or 2 right, and then Homeboy had 6 right, and that's his second Super Bowl square for the year. So great job, Alex. And yeah, we got to figure out what his secret is, Stephanie. Saying let us know for sure. Let's keep it moving to this game, which was kind of as expected, but still I was very impressed by the Chiefs defense. It was cold, and I think that did affect the game. We talked about that a little bit, but the Dolphins just were unable to get really too much going outside of one big splash play to Tyreek Hill, which he's always good for 7. That's why he's such a great player from that sense. But Kansas City definitely handled business. And your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, man, nothing crazy. I think we all kind of knew that where this game was going to go. It's going to be entirely a little too cold, for them. And KC defense, what I'm saying? They, I've talked about the offense all year not being as explosive as we're used to seeing, but it doesn't matter when you have, the best quarterback in the league, what I'm saying, to a point. And the defense, if they just keep giving the ball back to him, he's eventually going to put points on the board. You know what I'm saying? So, he threw one, and I think Pacheco ran one in, and then they got a whole bunch of field goals in that process. But I was looking at time of possession and offensive plays, and I want to say I think the Dolphins ran a total of like 57 offensive plays or something like that. You know what I mean? Whereas Kansas City was able to run like 80 something, offensive or close to 80 offensive plays. So, the defense does a really good job at taking the ball out of the opponent's hands and putting it back in Patrick Mahomes. And I think the best way to beat KC, something the Bills are really good at, at least towards the end of games, is keeping the ball out of Mahomes' hands. That's almost like the best way to beat KC.
Right.
Keep the ball out of Mahomes' hands. You can keep the ball out of his hands for the majority of the time, and you're on the right track. But it's just too cold, man. They're used to it. They practiced in it. Only person on the Dolphins who's any what used to it is the guy who put the only 7 points on the board. So
right,
I think we saw that one coming.
Yeah, for sure. And I am interested to hear your thoughts on next week's matchup. But for now, they did their thing, and I do have to mention, Taylor Swift did make so much airtime. Like I'm just wondering when this is gonna stop.
Yeah,
it's funny though, looking back, like when the first game or whatever, we're like, oh, okay, whatever, and now. Been like a theme of the year. It's like it's too much, I'm saying. So the thing that low key has me like not wanting to watch the Chiefs right now.
Oh, for sure. Likewise, I kind of feel like too is like if I'm Travis Kelce, like I almost kind of don't want her there. Like I get it, he loves her, it's his girl, but like for me, when they lose and she's there and they have all that, the press is all exactly the press coverage honors, like just constant,
like every play. Reaction.
Then it's gonna be like, was Taylor Swift a distraction? Is she the reason why they didn't go all the way? This, you know what I'm saying? Like, then it's just gonna be something that it just totally isn't, and it's gonna be really dumb and annoying for the team in general. And the crappy part about it is Travis Kelce's at the end of it. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm him, I appreciate the support, but I'm like, let me get you a place where y'all can maybe watch it somewhere else, together. Like, I don't know. I think I'd prefer not
or like somehow have that glass, have privacy glass on that suite or something. I don't know.
Like just to the point that she's just not getting more airtime than they are.
Right. And I can't help but think, oh, he had a couple drops in the game, just a couple weird out of character things. It's like,
3 drops in the first half or something like that? Like he was.
It's like it's not her fault, but at the same time, it's like it feels that way. Exactly. Mom said his mom needed a coat. That's for sure too. It was super cold, but the jackets were cool. The custom jackets were pretty cool.
Yeah,
can't lie about that. But we got to see a lot of them. Unc says folks were hating on Tua big time. And yeah, I don't know what the future of lies, with the Dolphins, with Tua. That's going to be a very interesting situation. But I have to give him credit, though. He did stay healthy all year. He did do a great job. He led that offense pretty much. But, a couple times in this game and a couple times throughout the season, though, in those bigger games, like he was getting crushed and he's, getting sacked a lot. And I think that affects his play. But he's a pretty solid quarterback. What do you think?
I'm not a Tua fan. I mean, from the standpoint of this, like I just feel like the arm's not there. It's definitely one of the weaker arms that we've seen, right? I mean, I know that's not too crazy. It helps when you have Tyreek Hill. You know what I mean? When Tyreek Hill's not out there, he struggles.
Yeah.
If you can't get the ball to Tyreek Hill, he struggles. And I think one of the biggest things too in some of the games that Tyreek Hill missed this season from the injury is that Mostert and Archain are so good, right? Like they had a really, really sound running game too. So
no question.
Before they got Tyreek Hill and before Mike McBride came through, they were literally thinking about how they can get rid of him and trade him. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the route that they were going. They were literally looking at how they could what they could get for him. So,
which shows you the impact of coaching, like honestly too.
Like he told him, like
somebody in a situation to be successful, like
exactly, man, 100%. And I think too, like Tyreek Hill is just that kind of game-changing player. It doesn't matter who's throwing the ball to him, as long as you can put it in his hands, he's going to do the most with it. You know what I'm saying? So, but again, it's just one of those things. Like even when he has Tyreek open, like Tyreek has to slow down to get, because he's so underthrown every time.
Yeah.
But he gets a quarterback who can catch him in stride all the time, like Patrick Mahomes once did. You know what I mean? Someone who was like that. It's a wrap. So. I don't think they're going anywhere. I know they said something like Tua's going to be like the quarterback for a long time or something like that, so they're probably going to pay him the money. But yeah, I think he is a free agent after this year.
I think he has this year, and he's like eligible for an extension.
Yeah, I think he has his rookie option, right? Like I don't think he's re-signed yet, so he's got his 5th-year option they can do. But it's one of those things until Tua just really completely falls off or Tyreek goes somewhere else. Like I think he's going to be there for a while.
Got you.
Like you said, especially with good coaching too.
Yeah, that definitely does make a difference.
Yeah.
All right. Now we got to move into Sunday, which this became the first game of Sunday because the Bills game got moved. But we had Green Bay going in and basically just taking over AT&T Stadium. I don't understand what it is about this team. Like a lot of the players have changed out, but Mike McCarthy still has some kind of affinity for this team, or they have some kind of a loom over him. But I just, Pops and I are watching the game, obviously, and we had a weird feeling right from the jump when the Green Bay took the ball. And I know I've talked about this all year. It's like Dallas does not play the same when they play from behind. Like if they get the ball and score first, it's totally different outcomes or totally different, direction of the game. Mm-hmm. And the way Green Bay came out and came right down the field and scored, like no problem through the defense, that definitely did not bode well. I think before we even get into the offensive struggles, I just feel like the defense almost was not prepared and was not up for this game. It seemed like Green Bay knew exactly what they were going to do, how they were going to attack them, and they had the right play call at the right time every time. Like throughout the whole game. I will say, though, that, early on there were some penalties that extended drives. And, again, the Cowboys shoot themselves in the foot by doing that a lot. That kind of helped things along. But, there were little differences in this game that just skewed things towards the Packers. And, obviously Dak and the offense wasn't up to task. I don't know what happened with him and CeeDee Lamb. That was a big play up is like, was there drama or were they not on the same page for whatever reason? I don't really understand how they couldn't be, but again, it comes to that preparation. And so, Mike McCarthy, long story short, 3-12 season wins, that's great, but I think he's going to be gone because I feel like that they have not done enough to instill confidence that when it comes to that big game, are they going to be prepared? Them coming out and being like, oh, we're shocked, it's stunning. That's the same thing you say after every big loss. Why do you not see it coming? Like, what do you mean you're shocked? Like, every time you can't be shocked. And I don't know. Like we talked about before with McCarthy, he's not going to outsmart anybody. It's like if the game plan doesn't work, we just keep trying it over and over and over and keep sinking farther down. That pick six to that, to CeeDee Lamb, it's like they were just sitting on that as a robber.
Horrible.
Waiting. They knew they're going to force the ball to him. They're frustrated. He hasn't gotten a catch, and they're just waiting on it. And it's like, I don't understand why we can't see some of those things coming. And, I'm the biggest Dak supporter. I wanted nothing more than to have the Cowboys have success and have him lead them to success.
Yeah.
But I think that is gone too. I think he's going to be out of there. No contract extension for him. They're going to find a way to get out of that money. And I think the coaching staff is going to exactly. I think the coaching staff is going to change. It's just really sad because it's like it's definitely a big disappointment the way they came out in this game.
Yeah.
And I do think it's like it's going to be a big change, And I love this team, but they can't get it done. It's going to have to blow up, I think it's really going to have to change.
Yeah, I agree with literally everything you just said. I was watching the game and I felt the exact same. That first drive, I was like, it's over. Yeah, I just you harp on it every single week. The Cowboys just do not play well when they go down early or they go down first. You know what I mean? Or the team gets up on them and they don't at least match the touchdown or whatever on the next drive or something. You know what I mean? And one thing I want to talk about too is like you talked about 12-5, 12-5, 12-5, and you're absolutely right. Just the same thing every year. They won the division in 2001 and this past season. The thing that kind of kills me is that it's been the same, right? Every year they lose to a team that they had no business losing to. It's always one loss is one of the five. It's always a loss. It's like what? Like Vegas came up that day. You split one with the Eagles, and then three of the teams you lose to are teams that are above 500 that you just for whatever reason can't get around, and then you destroy the teams below. Yeah. And it's like that's coaching. You know what I'm saying? Like that's coaching. Like that's preparation. That's adjustments at halftime when things aren't going your way or the way you wanted them to go. And like you said, I think it's definitely time for McCarthy to be out. He's got to go. There is a slew of great coaches out there right now that y'all could go after. You know what I mean? Like a ton of great coaches y'all could go after.
Yeah.
And I think a bunch of them would love to go there. You know what I mean? It's the biggest franchise in the NFL. It's one of the biggest franchises in sports in period. Right. So it's like, who wouldn't want to go and be the next, coach of the Dallas Cowboys? Dak is such a great guy. Like I feel bad for him, man. But like when everything was happening, it was like the person who's not a Cowboy fan. So I know it wasn't for you guys, but it was almost comical.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like for someone who's not a Cowboy,
even
fan,
for us, we're like, dang, like can it get worse?
Here we go again. You know what I'm saying? Like here we go. You know what I mean? It was like you know what I mean? Like here we go again, man. It's like for whatever reason, I don't know if it's him trying too hard to silence the people who are constantly telling or saying that he can't
be the dude.
Yeah, or he can't get past the big games, right? The ones that mean the most, when it comes to playing teams that are playoff teams or above 500 teams or just getting to the playoffs in general. I know he's been the starter there for a while. Right. I think he still only has 2 playoff wins, you know what I mean? So it's like it's frustrating for Cowboys fans. Like I wanted this for y'all, but I'm with you, man. Like when it started happening, I was like, this ain't looking good.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Not going the right way.
Yeah, man. Like and it's because we've watched them, closely. You got obviously it's your guys' squad, so I watched it because it's your guys' squad, and you're watching the same things happen year after year after year, which I think is why all the Cowboy haters are essentially like, we're not worried about the Cowboys. They're gonna do this, blah 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 blah.
That's what they do, yeah.
But I think, like you said, the Green Bay Packers were so prepared for them, because I think a lot of that had to do with the way the Lions played them a couple weeks ago at home. I think they kind of gave them a little bit more of a blueprint on how to beat them at home, and I think McCarthy wasn't ready. I'm with you on that. I feel like McCarthy didn't prepare them well enough. I don't know how well. Wasn't there something a while ago that says something like McCarthy doesn't listen too much to his supporting cast of coaches? I don't remember if that was like a thing or if it was somebody else. But I wish I knew like a little bit more of the background, like because he's got a pretty solid staff on his squad. I mean, especially as far as defense goes, like I can't imagine that he's doing it on his own, But
right,
I
don't know.
But
it is interesting with the defense too, though, with Dan Quinn too. Like, there's a lot of talk about him being a head coach somewhere, being very attractive, to others.
Yeah.
Dang, but then you're gonna put out that performance, like,
no.
It's like that's because the thing is the defense gave up. Even if we want to take off the pick six, even if we want to take off another turnover, the defense still gave up 34 points, 36 points. Like, honestly, like if our defense plays the way they're supposed to, like
how they've been playing out, especially at home too. Like,
it was crazy. But they couldn't get us to stop it all. I did want to welcome a couple people to the show. What's good? And Anthony Weston as well. I definitely wanted to give Pops, though. Pops said, boo, Cowboys made me cry. No heart. Didn't show up to play. Cowboys should hire Chiefs defensive coordinator as head coach. He will make us play physical sound ball, and he can coach youngsters.
Yeah,
I think something like that, And one thing that they've always had success under, like a more disciplinarian type coach. Like even when Bill Parcells came there and kind of righted the ship, I think it's time for that kind of a voice, unfortunately. You know what I'm saying? But the players, man, somebody's got to kind of whip them up into shape.
Didn't Seattle interview Quinn already?
I think they requested to interview him. I don't know if they actually already did since I think they were waiting for after this, or the Cowboys to be out or whatever.
Gotcha. Like I know the Panthers did a couple of virtual interviews with OC from Detroit and stuff like that. So I know some of these guys are here in the playoffs. They've already interviewed a couple of them. Yeah. Well, I thought they interviewed Dan Quinn already, but
I think they might have done it already, or they at least requested. But I know there was a connection there.
I was just reading Anthony's his comments. Wondering the same thing. You know what I mean? Maybe his mindset is already like, I know I got a job out there somewhere waiting for me. You know what I mean?
Well, Anthony Weston says that too. He said, do you think Quinn already knows he had a job and spent time working on his staff instead of game planning?
Yeah.
And, maybe he was distracted or something. I don't know. It was almost like, though, they all expected, like, okay, we'll just beat Green Bay because we're just –
That's what I was thinking, too, dog.
That's not how it works, though.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of us were like, Green Bay might put up a fight in the, beginning, but I just felt like Dallas had, I feel like Dallas should have ran away with it.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe they have the same mindset. Like, okay, yeah, it's cute, but, they're coming to our place. They're still a really young team. Like, we should beat them. And it just didn't go that way.
Yeah. No, yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, that was definitely a tough one. A tough one to deal with, And
I saw a lot of questions about would you guys, and I'm curious what Pops thinks too. Would you guys want Bill Belichick if you wanted to take the job?
I don't know. I was joking. I was joking that like Jerry was calling Bill Belichick at halftime.
Oh, I know.
I was thinking that, but it would be an interesting pairing only because like Bill Belichick wants total control, and maybe at this point that'd be better for Jerry Jones, and Jerry can be the mouthpiece for the organization, and Bill can just go and run the football thing. I think the only thing is like Bill Belichick will be looking at a more short-term thing. Like, I think he will go somewhere to prove he can still coach, maybe make a run at a title, which this might be the perfect opportunity. Who knows?
Right.
I think what I would maybe want more, even though I would love to have Bill Belichick, you know my respect for him.
Yeah.
But I think like if we're thinking more long-term, like, and we're thinking more retooling / rebuilding, like we need to go get somebody younger, somebody that's going to be there for 8 years, 10 years,
For sure.
I don't know.
I think I agree with you. Like I'm kind of like a lot of people are asking me, like as a Panther fan, like, would you want Belichick? Would you want Belichick? And I'm like, I don't know. Like I haven't seen enough from the offense, the Packers for the last couple of years for me to say most definitely. But I do feel like with an established team, an established quarterback, and an established defense, not putting so much pressure on Dak because they do throw a lot of screens, they do a lot of short route stuff, especially with CD playing the CD playing the what's it called receiver spot.
The slot.
Yeah, the slot. I think he'd be able to do good with them because Dak's not a rookie. He's way better than a rookie. He's way better than Mac Jones and the other kid that they have. But I'm with you. I don't know necessarily if, like you said, like it would have to be like win now scenario. If we can't get it done in a year or two, you know what I'm saying? Like, all right, Bill, we gotta go from you as well.
Yeah, or like bring him in like with a successor plan. Like, all right, this is gonna be like the plan. Pop says Bill would instill toughness and disciplined football, but he is willing to coach for 5 years.
Right.
I think because I think he wants to get the record for like all-time wins and then he'll be done more. But I think so too. Like, I don't know. I just feel like what he's done with these teams that he's had, he hasn't had a lot of talent. They haven't invested a lot of money, and he still does really good.
No, for sure.
So,
agreed.
It would be interesting.
Tom Brady got Randy Moss. He really wasn't working with nothing else. You know what I mean? Like, you can talk about Wes Walker and Julian Edelman, but even then, at the end of the day, like we talk about all the time, like those dudes aren't like first ballot,
right?
Nothing like that.
Those were guys that he poached from other places because he saw the potential in them. Like he saw how to use them.
Exactly.
So like I think that's the thing that he's definitely like he's definitely football genius. Could he make it work? And like to bring a Cowboys Super Bowl back, like that'd be insane. But that's the level of expectation that there is. He might not want that anymore. He's had that with the Patriots and he's seen that fall off. So
true.
I don't know. I think that's going to be an interesting one. Okay. Last thing real quick, and we'll keep it moving. Unc says, I think it's time for Dak to go elsewhere. As hard as it is for me to say that too, like I think maybe it'll be better for him too. You know what I'm saying? Just to get a fresh start, go somewhere where there's not that same expectation, but he is still a great quarterback in this league. Like, and you see what he can do. It's just there's something there. I don't know what it is, man. I love that guy. I don't know. I wish him the best though, but I do think that it's probably over for him there. So, all right. Next up, we got the Lions taking out the Rams at home, 24-23. This was a great game. Rams came back late, had opportunities to potentially go for that game-winning field goal, but Detroit held strong. Won their first playoff game that they had hosted, and they hosted their first playoff game since 1990 or something.
Something like that, something crazy.
But Mom said Rams broke my heart, score TDs in the red zone, and that definitely does make a big difference. They had to rely on a lot of field goals when they were coming back, so that's rough. But what did you think about the game, though? You think that Detroit did enough, or that the Rams should have?
I think Martin has talked about it. I think the last 2 weeks is the Rams were definitely one of those teams that you didn't want to see. You know what I mean? So regardless of having home field advantage or whatever the case may be, the Rams are a really tough team, especially when their defense is playing well. You know what I mean? If their defense is playing well, because they've lost a bunch of guys since the Super Bowl,
right?
But I think Detroit, like Dan Campbell, he had a lot of he's an aggressive play caller. You know what I'm saying? Or not play caller because the OC calls the plays, but when it comes to
aggressive coach, he's
an aggressive coach. So like the fourth down stuff, like he likes to go for. He likes to take. He likes to keep the ball in his offense's hands, right?
Right.
And it worked out for him. You know what I mean? Like they had the ball, 2-minute warning, and they ended up getting the first down still and ran the clock out basically after that. But I'll say this, man. If I'm the Rams, Puka is that dude. Like he is.
Yeah, he's a beast.
Yeah, I mean he's an absolute monster, man. Like he took over when Kupp was injured, and he's been the best receiver even once Kupp returned and got his footing back.
Right.
And on them, as much as I hate to say it, because Atwell was actually really, really good this season too, I'm trading Cooper Kupp. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I'm trading him while they can get the most for him because dude is definitely on the decline. You know what I'm saying? He's definitely on the downside of his hill, then continuing to go up. So
they almost found the perfect swap out. Like,
dude, he's like his clone, just you know what I'm saying?
And he got to learn from him this year. Like he's learned a lot from him, I'm sure.
Exactly. And he's a rookie too, you know what I'm saying? So he broke some records for the rookie.
Most catches and most yards.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he broke the record for the most yards in a playoff game by a rookie too. In that one game.
He was a beast, man. He was a beast in this game too. And I'm getting, I love Cooper Kupp. I think he's one of the best. He's been one of the best. But like I'm trading while I can before it gets not worse because he didn't have a bad year in the games that he played.
Right.
Just not used to he's two knee injuries now. So I'm like all right, man. We
Anthony
appreciate
says
everything you did.
Yeah.
Got a championship out of it. Yeah, I'll holler at you.
For sure. Anthony West says Kupp is going to the Chiefs. That would be dope for
he might.
Mahomes. Who do you think will win Offensive Rookie there, Puka or Stroud? Stroud for sure, only because of the position he plays too. Puka definitely he would have won it any other year, but
yeah, for sure.
I'm sure he'll be okay with all those records he broke though.
Yep.
So, all right, we'll see. We'll keep it moving here because I know we're going long on football, but this is the in-depth. Steelers Bills. I guess this one we won't have a lot to talk about. The Bills handle business. Got some long Josh Allen runs. No, I don't think any turnovers for the Bills, which is that big difference maker usually. But the Steelers, it was interesting that they were asking Tomlin about his contract. You have one more year on your contract left, and in the middle of the question, in the middle of the press conference, he just walked out. Mad respect for that because it's like he shouldn't have to answer those type of questions. He's done what he's done. He's continued to have a record of over 500 for so many consecutive years. They did come out earlier, and Tomlin did say he was going to be the coach of the Steelers for next year. So apparently that's been figured out. But this was my guy. I was hoping for like in a dream scenario. It was like if the Steelers for whatever reason wanted to part ways with him, the Cowboys go to get him. Like that would have been incredible.
And the Steelers are a huge franchise too. So and with high expectations. So it's not even like he'd be. He wouldn't. It's not like he's something that he'd be, shied away from or afraid of. You know what I'm saying? Like Cowboys a little bit bigger, but the Steelers are a big organization too that expect championships.
Right, and I don't know if Jerry would be willing to go that route, if you know what I mean. But I feel like there wouldn't be like a better guy like to take over a team because he instills toughness. Character, accountability, they win games like with shoestrings and toothpicks and stuff. Like if they have to, like they just make it happen. So, but the Mason Rudolph sanity is over. Yes, what I'm saying, he couldn't make that magic happen, and hopefully they have a new starter coming into next year. But all right, I think there's not much more to say to that. We'll have to talk about the matchups, but this one was very interesting. Eagles, Bucks. 32-9. This is the only thing that lessened the blow of the Cowboys a little bit is to see the Eagles continue their downfall, their downward spiral. The Bucks did their thing, and Baker Mayfield had a great quote with like winning cures a lot of things, and it really does. Like it changes people's impressions and situations, and he was dealing with some things that week, but they had a big win. What do you think about the Bucks Eagles?
Man, this is one of those games we talked about, I think, on Saturday morning when we did Secure the Bag, where it was like, should the Eagles win this game? Yes, but they've also dropped 5 of 6 and now 6 of 7. You know what I mean? And they were playing in Tampa Bay, so and I think I even mentioned that Baker Mayfield had kind of a poor game the week before, so I expected a bounce back game in this one. But to see them beat them this bad, to see the Eagles play this poorly, regardless of not having A.J. Brown, because they still have entirely too many weapons, you know what I'm saying? Swift, Smith, Goddard, like they still have too many weapons for me to believe that they should have or could have lost to the Buccaneers, right?
Yeah.
But hats off to the Bucs. Baker Mayfield has done extremely, extremely well since being released by the Panthers last year, going to the Rams, winning their last couple of games, playing well, getting the starting job of the Buccaneers, and then winning the NFC South and winning their home playoff game. Again, as a Panther fan, it sucks because for me, it's just like we should have held on to CMC, we should have held on to DJ Moore. Our biggest problem for these last couple of years have been coaching. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think Wilkes proved that with as soon as Rule left, he turned things around, and then we don't have him. And then back to bad coaching. Offensive line is horrible. Like we could have stuck it out with Baker, I think, if we had the right coaching staff. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
But I'm happy for him. Like he's had to deal with a lot of scrutiny. You know what I mean? And just in general, the commercials, whatever. Not thinking that he's this, not thinking that he's that, and he's been quiet. Something that I don't think anyone expects of Baker Mayfield, right? You think Baker Mayfield, you don't necessarily think quiet. So I'm happy. I'm happy that he did his thing. They're playing well, and we'll see what they got next week. I don't think they get done this upcoming weekend, but we'll see.
For sure. Mom says still hate Mayfield. I can't believe the Eagles imploded like that. And yeah, I'm surprised by the Eagles as well. I figured they could potentially lose this game, but that wouldn't be quite like that.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a
that's a big loss.
Yeah, for sure. So, all right. So that tees us up for. Oh, this is funny though. Mom said Jerry would pass in regards to Jerry and Mike Tomlin. Yeah. That's okay. We have. Oh. Okay. So here we have the matchups for next week. And just want to talk about them really quickly, but we will go in depth on Secure the Bag later this week, probably Saturday again.
Yeah.
But for now, Ravens Texans, I think that's very exciting. I feel like if the Texans can be on a roll, and if the Ravens kind of not get stale, but if somehow they get a little rust, maybe. But I think that the Ravens have played so well this year, though. I'm really thinking that they should probably handle business.
Yeah, I'm thinking starting off slow, but because their starters have actually been out for 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Great win last week. I don't see it against the Ravens.
Yeah, that's a different ask for sure.
Yeah.
Then you've got Green Bay and San Francisco. I definitely know that San Francisco won't quite get caught off guard the way the Cowboys did. I trust their coaching staff a little bit more, but there are interesting wrinkles because Green Bay's coach, was closely tied to Shanahan as well. Yeah. So I think that'll be a pretty good game.
Mm-hmm.
But I would expect a really good performance again from the defense would be needed for Green Bay to stay in that game.
Yeah, I agree. Especially with San Francisco, they've had time to get healthy, and when they're healthy, they look like the Ravens.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Detroit and Tampa Bay. I think we kind of both. Well, you said how you felt about that one. I agree with you on that one. Detroit, though, that's so cool. They get to host another playoff game. I know that's big for them. I know they'll be thoroughly prepared for that game. Probably a little bit too much to ask for the Bucs, but the Bucs defense did play really well against the Eagles. Let's see if they can do that against the Lions, who are kind of playing a little bit better than the Eagles have been. So
for sure.
And then the big one, I'm gonna let you go first on this one.
Yeah, man, this is this is kind of the biggest game of the weekend. I think these teams know each other very, very well. They've played each other many a times in the regular season and in the playoffs. And last time Bills got them a little bit by a field goal. So Kansas City's gonna be coming ready to play. And this one's tricky. This one's actually really tricky, but I think I kind of like KC and get their lick back. You know what I mean? But we'll see. Yeah. If Allen can play turnover-free ball, I got the Bills. But if he turns the ball over even just once, to me, I think it's a wrap.
Gotcha.
Can do that against KC.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think I'm leaning Kansas City in this one a little bit only because that's what kind of history tells us, and I still trust Mahomes, to get it done. And Rice has started to really kind of step up and take that lead receiver role. I think that's important for them too. And then, of course, what we've talked about all year is the defense is just the game changer for them. Like, they've never had a defense like ride or die for them like this. So I think that will make the difference. I trust how that defense knows how to play Josh Allen. So I'm saying the Chiefs in a close one. This is their first time going on the road under Mahomes' era, and they talk about that a lot, but I'm not really tripping about that.
Defense travels.
Yeah.
Defense definitely travels.
Yeah, for sure. So Anthony Weston's ready. Yep. He's got all of his points ready to go, but he agrees that that Kansas City owes them, he says. So, yeah, for sure. That's going to be a great one. But we'll break those down a little bit more, but that's the 4 matchups going into this weekend. And then, the weekend after that, we'll be down to the conference championship so we can see who's going to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. It's funny. I'm actually extremely curious about this Bucs-Detroit game because even though I think Detroit wins, they're not so like San Francisco or even what we thought the Cowboys should be, that where the Bucs can't get them. You know what I mean? So I think it'd be a very interesting NFC championship matchup if it's like let's say it's like Green Bay and Detroit. Like, that would be crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, because San Francisco can lose too if they come in unprepared with all that time they had off. But that one's interesting to me. I think we expected San Francisco to get to the NFC Championship, but that one's surprising because I did not expect either one. Well, Detroit maybe, but definitely not the Bucs.
Yeah, for sure. No, that'll be an interesting one, most definitely, because when you start to look at it, it's like one of these teams is going to go to the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
It's like that's really crazy. Anthony Weston says, "A-Dub, it's a somber mood here with the Cowboys." I bet between that and the weather, I'm sure, you know what I'm saying, it's gonna take like at least a week or more, you know what I'm saying, to get over it. The city will kind of have to heal. But the hard part is too, is like then you have to turn around and watching football, you're like, dang, this should have been us. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't even really enjoy, you know what I'm saying, the games and more because you're thinking about how your team went out like punks, you know? Yep. So that's the hard part. But I like this one. Refs will cheat for Bills. Hope Mahomes can work his magic. And and Kelsey can get his freaking head on football. He's trying, but the media won't let him. No,
it's weird. It's weird. It's weird just watching like he hasn't scored a touchdown in weeks. Right. You know what I mean? Like and you know, dropping easy passes he normally catches, some wide open ones too.
Yeah.
That's weird.
For sure. It is strange. We talked about the coaches that have been fired, but nobody has been added to this list yet, but also we do have a couple people that have been added to this list, sort of, not necessarily fired, but we have Pete Carroll, who they mutually agreed, even though that seemed weird because he just was saying how he was good to go. And then, of course, we have Bill Belichick and the Patriots, parting ways with Bill Belichick. Now, the Patriots already hired Jerod Mayo to take over, which was kind of like a background successor plan for a while.
Yeah.
So that's not surprising. I guess the only tells me that they weren't really upset with the system. They just felt like they needed some freshness to it.
Yeah.
Because Mayo played for Bill Belichick and then he coached under Bill Belichick his whole career. So he kind of is going to have that same style, you would think. It's not going to be a big departure from what they've already known, but it'll be interesting to see what happens with Bill Belichick next. He did, interview with Atlanta, but I don't know. It's just crazy because I think Bill Belichick really did set the standard for like what a coach is supposed to be, and like how I think he became a comparison point for a lot of coaches that couldn't hold up to that. I think that's why a lot of coaches get fired quickly too, because there's all these such great expectations. Like if you're going to do something, you should be able to do it. Whereas I feel like not that long ago, 10, 15 years ago, you would give coaches more time to figure something out.
Right. That's one thing I saw what Ant said. He said something, a little bit higher up about, teams giving up on good coaches and moving on from good coaches just because they didn't have the season they should have had. But it's like, Pop says it a lot too, where it's like, good coaches, good quarterbacks, like these dudes don't grow on trees, you know what I mean? So you might not have had the season you would have liked, but if you let them go, like who's better? You know what I mean? Who's better than the coach you currently have right now?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like Tomlin, he to me, Tomlin's stuck in this, like, I'm a great enough coach where I'm going to always be over 500, but because I'm always over 500, I'm never low enough
the pieces I need.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, I mean, they have two really good receivers. They just have a quarterback to get it to them.
Right. No, for sure. It will be interesting to see what happens with these two guys. I think Pete Carroll, they did say that they were going to have an advisory role for him, but I feel like I don't know if that's going to satisfy him. So I could see him potentially even coming back with a different team or maybe getting a different job. So we'll see about that one. But yeah, we'll guess we'll leave it right there. We did have Alex going 6-0, so congrats again to him. And don't forget to continue your picks and continue to check out Secure the Bag later this week. We'll be bringing you our breakdown and our picks against the spread. But I wanted to get to a couple quick NFL comments before we go out of there. Unc says Baker Mayfield reminds me of Johnny Manziel. He's like the new and improved, like the better version, though.
Yeah, for sure. The better version, that's for sure.
But kind of reminiscent. Stephanie says, I'm rooting for the Lions to take it all. Wouldn't that be incredible? That would be really cool. Like, honestly, that would be tight. And Unc has said a couple of times, like, it might be a team from left field that we're not really expecting. So that would be really cool. She also said at least the Eagles went out like punks too. Does make it feel better. That does make it feel better. And Anthony Weston said Sirianni. He might be added to that list. I could see that.
Me too.
Yeah. Anthony Weston says somebody actually picked Green Bay. Yeah. The only one to pick him, and he did, and he picked all the other ones right too, all the other upsets right too. So great job, Alex. Yeah. NBA, nothing really too crazy, but I don't know if you've seen this, but Mike Brown the other day pulled out the laptop to break down the film to show exactly how the refs were being inconsistent with the calls, which I thought was a pretty gangster move. Like I really like that.
I love it because he knew he's gonna get fined.
Right. He was like, I'm gonna make it worth it.
Yep.
He's like, if I'm gonna play it and put it down, then I'm gonna go ahead and do it right. So he did get fined $50,000 for that, but I think that's kind of gangster.
Yep.
I feel like, if things continue, like he might have to have another session. He's like, I'll just pay for it again. Say, let me break this film down for you.
I know. I loved it though, man. The one thing I can't stand in all aspects of sports is like referees are just there. They're never they're not held accountable by any standard. You know what I mean? And a lot of times they can govern the way a game goes. Just
they can change the flow of it. I mean, they really can.
100%, man. And like we talk about inconsistencies all the time, and when there's something that happens that's just horrible, just the whole world is like this can't happen, like this can't go on. It's like there's no statement from the NFL or NBA. There's no apology for our mistake, it was our bad. We did make the mistake. We did go back and watch. Like there's nothing that ever happens, but coaches and players, though, they say they're doing the wrong thing. They question it and they're fined immediately. So I know he knew he was gonna take that bump, man, but he took it on the chin. I loved it. I loved every bit of it.
Yeah, it was good stuff for sure. So I definitely wanted to point that out, give our props to Mike Brown, and he came up kind of as a film guy, so he knows how to break it down. The other little story we had for NBA, the Warriors have basically said that they're open for business. Anybody but Curry is open for business. But do you see them making any major moves? Because the pieces that they have to deal might not seem as attractive as the once were. Like, it's weird to say, but is it too late,
Yeah, man, it's funny. I've been seeing a bunch of like hoop fans, just sports fans in general, but the Warriors happen to be their team. And it's going to be difficult because I hate to say this, but Kerr has done a really horrendous job with the lineups this year.
Yeah.
So like he's constantly switching, giving dudes more minutes who don't need that many minutes and dudes who need more minutes, less minutes. Like I get it. You're a coach. You're trying to figure out how to fix their current woes. But when you do that and nobody is playing well, their draft stock drops, right? So like I think it is going to be difficult to maybe get some trade value for some guys that just last season you could have gotten rid of for way more compared to right now. It's like I'm not going to give you, like if you want to trade Andrew Wiggins, you trade Andrew Wiggins after the finals run that he had, right? Like
right,
but
and the
right
stock
now,
is high.
Yeah, he's off the bench, he's starting. He's off the bench, he's starting. He's got 2 points, he's got 11, he's got 18, he's back to 6. You know what I mean? Like all of their players except Steph Curry just aren't playing very well right now. So it's going to be difficult to trade them and to get what they want back for them. You know what I'm saying? Because I know they're looking for some like
some magic thing. Yeah.
For Steph.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm thinking too. It's like they're definitely looking for, like, it's like you're not gonna find like that magic, that magic potion out there,
right?
Or that certain player that's just gonna come in and change your system. Like, it's tough, You might be able to trade to like get something to change it up, but even then, like, can you dig out of this hole? Are you gonna be that much better?
No, dude, seriously. I talked about, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, when I was like, the Warriors aren't even gonna make the play-in, and they probably not. Like they have to make changes like ASAP Rocky, and there's almost no time to even get chemistry. Like whoever they trade and get, it's got to be immediate. You know what I'm saying? Like because the West is so incredibly deep, and right now they're on the outside looking in at even the play-in tournament. Like they're not winning games. They just got smacked the other night by Memphis. You know what I'm saying? Like. And Memphis is even without Jaw still. So that's not good. It's not a good sign. You know what I mean? Like it might be time for a blow up. It might even be time for a new coaching change, honestly.
Yeah.
And Steph only has probably a couple super solid years left. You know what I mean? So it's win now or Steph's chilling. He's made got his ships.
Well, I do. I mean, I will be interested to see how that plays out, and then how that does impact the rest of his career, because I don't know if he would want to leave, but at the same time, like if he turns into because you can shoot for a long time, right?
Oh yeah, especially like him.
Yeah, like so if you're not trying to be, the same type of ball handler or whatever like that, he could turn into a Ray Allen and he could go somewhere, you know what I'm saying, and just be like a deadly shooter. So it'll be interesting to see how the rest of his career plays out. But I do think that they need to make major changes, and there's not going to be some special magic thing that is going to come in and save them.
Right.
So yeah, we'll see. We'll see about that. The other, we'll go ahead and move on then from that. I think though, not really too much things for basketball, but I did want to mention that the trade deadline is February 8th, which crazy as it is, like that's like 3 weeks away. So it is coming up pretty soon. It sounds like it's far away, but February 8th is coming up soon. So we'll see what does happen at the trade deadline for these teams. All right, next we got to move to other sports. We got to talk about Nick Saban. We haven't had a chance to talk about him retiring since we were together last. And this is another guy, right? Like him and Bill Belichick, like going out like 2 days, like a day apart or whatever, is pretty crazy because like at the NFL level and at the NCAA level, like those are two coaches that literally, like we were talking about, defined success, and was like the barometer and the measuring stick for like what is successful or not. But yeah, Nick Saban goes out with 6 titles at Alabama, 7 titles total, but his record ending in Alabama 201-29, like that's pretty insane over that course of history. And then 292, 71-1 is his total college coaching record. But what did you think? Were you surprised by Nick Saban going out? Do you think he's done coaching forever?
I feel like it's funny. I feel like Saban, if Saban decides to never coach again, I know he's going to be a college football analyst. Like I just know it. Like they're going to go after him. They're going to give him a whole bunch of money. I know it. Like if he decides not to coach again, he's going to be all right. And I think he's going to be a pretty decent one too. And Saban's shoes are not ones that I would want to fill, at least not first. You know what I'm saying? Like I would not want to be the guy who goes to Bama for the first year after Saban. I'd imagine just because of recruiting, like you'll be fine in a sense, but I'll take the second job after he's gone. You know what I'm saying? But that one threw me off. I had no idea that he was going to be retiring this year.
I was surprised by that as well. It is pretty crazy. But Mom says Saban or Satan, good riddance. But the thing is, like, as much as you don't like him, Mom, I understand, but it's like you gotta respect, like, you gotta understand, like, I mean, he's great coach. Like, you can't deny that part.
Yeah.
Stephanie Washington said my birthday. Oh, so 2/8 is her birthday. I know she's Aquarius gang too.
So right.
That's what's up. We got some celebrations coming up for sure.
Ooh, yeah.
Unc says Saban and Belichick need to join Bass Pro Fishing Tour. That would be pretty gangster. But I could see Saban, like you said, being a really great analyst. They have had him a couple times, like when Alabama didn't make the playoff, and he would go on there. Yep. And I do think like he could easily replace Coach Lee Corso, you know what I'm saying? Like, because it's time Corso's going out. So who better to have you if you need a new coach, you know? You can have Nick Saban. So we'll see. But as you were talking about, I did want to mention, DeBoer, Kalen DeBoer is Washington's coach. He has some huge shoes to fill, and that's for sure. And I almost think, like you said, Strizzy, like there were some guys, high-level guys that were probably like, I'm not sure, you know?
Yeah.
And kind of not wanting to be that next guy to take all that scrutiny. So I do commend him for taking the job.
Yep.
And I do think that he will do pretty well. He made some hires that will kind of help him recruit in that area because he's never recruited in the South before, but that should be okay because Alabama, I mean, that carries a pretty big name. But he is going to have some things to prove as far as like, are they going to fall off or not, you know?
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. But I think, there's probably some guys that really want that job that are waiting. You know what I'm saying? Like, give it 2 years or 3 years, and if this guy doesn't survive, they'll be back in the reins for a coach, and like you said, be that second person in. That way you don't get the direct comparison, and you still get all the benefits from it. But Mom's mentioned she's glad the Alabama coaches are heading to Georgia. Yeah, there are a few coaches that are actually going to Georgia from Alabama after the departure, as DeBoer kind of creates his new staff. There's a lot of ties between the two schools, you know, with Kirby being there too, so we'll see. But crazy stuff. A lot of interesting changes and a lot of guys, especially if you throw in Pete Carroll to the mix and stuff like that, have been coaching for a long time at certain places that are going to have new coaches. So But I think it's some good stuff. I think it's cool to change things a little bit.
Big time. I think it's a great shakeup. You know what I mean? Like, when I think about Alabama, I think about Saban. I don't even think about anybody else, right? Like not a player that's ever gone there. Like it's him, right? Even with the Patriots, obviously Tom Brady, but if it's not him, it's Bill. You know what I mean? And I forgot and didn't really realize. Like I knew it had been a while, but I didn't realize, even Pete Carroll being at Seattle for the last 14, 15 years.
Yeah, long time.
That's a hell of a long time. You know what I mean? So. It's just it's crazy how time flies, and just when you think of those places, you think of those guys. So, it's weird to think that they're not going to be there anymore.
Yeah, for sure. Anthony Weston says Bear Bryant,
True.
and Mom says not Bear Bryant. But honestly, I get what you guys are saying. Bear Bryant was legendary there, but I think he outdid him. I mean, I think he kind of took that spot. Yeah. And Jalen DeBoer did say that Nick Saban would have full access to Alabama going forward, where it's like, I think he just said that kind of for the recruiting trail too. Like he's not going away, but he is, you know what I'm saying? Like he's not going to be there, in the trenches with him, but I don't know. Interesting stuff though, but we'll see how that goes forward. And the only last thing wanted to go out on this is whether you guys like this or not, or whether you saw this, but at the Australian Open, which is now underway, on court 6, they now have like a bar side court, and it's this 2-story bar that's like right along one side of the court. And they're basically, it's hot in Australia right now. It's the summer there. They're trying to give like new ways for people to hang out and enjoy the tennis tournament and like drink, almost kind of like the FedEx, like the golf tournament is here, like where they have like grandstand places. But the players are giving it mixed reviews. Some are saying it's cool and it brings energy. Some are saying it's really distracting, like having like this many people like right there next to you. Also, I feel like they would have to watch out. Sometimes the ball might go flying in there,
Yeah.
But what do you think about this? Like seeing this, you like that setup or what?
Not really. I think like from a player standpoint, I feel like it would be kind of distracting. You know what I mean? And like you said, balls flying, it goes and knocks something over or whatever. I mean, then it makes, it slows things down. And if I'm the one who's got the momentum going and it's got to stop or get distracted because of it, not really a big fan of it. But, but at the same time too, like, sometimes fun change is good. And I know a lot of times they do these things to bring in a different audience that they're not used to having. Right. So I completely get it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. I see what they're trying to do, and I do think at least they didn't put it on the, anywhere near the main court, right? It's the 6th court. So as the tournament goes on, they move to the bigger courts, or the bigger names are on the bigger courts. But still, I think it's kind of weird. Anthony Weston says not bad unless it affects the play.
Right.
Unc says a bar next to courtside. Mom says it disrespects the game. And Anthony says it'll end once a drunk person wanders onto the court. See, that's my thing too. Like they're right there. They could easily like toss a drink or like get mad or like they're pretty close. Exactly. And Mom's I kind of think it does too. Like it's kind of weird. Like it's not quite that much of a spectator sport.
Right.
If you had like stands a little bit up, like, and then you had something that overlooked it, like a suite type thing where there was like glass and it was back a little bit, where you could still like be at the bar but watch the tournament. Yeah, but that's like really close there. So I don't know. It's kind of weird. But
yeah, I agree. It's a tricky situation.
Yeah, but, for sure. I see that they're trying to do something different, but I don't think it'll be back or catch on at other tournaments. I don't know.
For sure.
But like you said, though, they're trying to get a different type of crowd and they're trying to sell the fun of it. And the Australian Open does do big numbers. Like I think they said something like 90,000 people like go to the tournament. And I'm like, dang, there's not that much room on the court. So maybe they're trying to just figure out different ways to do, to bring more people in. Yeah. And as Grace says too, another moneymaker. I think that's like true. Like they just be like, hey, you just get your little day pass. You can wander in here, you'd be right next to the action. Might get hit in the face. You never know.
You never know.
I think it's a selling point.
That's hilarious.
But it is a big tournament to try it at though for the first time. Like, I'm not sure it would be done in Wimbledon. Yeah, they're too like respectful, and you can't even wear nothing but white there, and you got to be quiet and everything like that.
Yeah.
So definitely different. Well, all right, that's what's up. We're gonna leave it right there. We appreciate everybody rocking with us, week to week, and we're holding it down for our brother Marcus as well. We love him, but he is busy as usual, which is you know how that goes. But we'll be sure to get his impressions on the Cowboys' disappointment. You know what I'm saying, in the near future too, because we know we want to hear from our brother as a Cowboys fan.
Absolutely.
But that's what's up. Next week is episode 300, and this is really it's not 300. What is
230?
Oh yeah, 230. My bad. Not 300. What am I talking about? 230. I was like, wait, I think I have a typo over here somewhere. But so 230. I was like, I know it's a number, but not that number. But anyways, we'll be back next Tuesday for episode 230. But this weekend we will be breaking down the divisional round, those 4 NFL games. So come back for that. Make sure you put your picks in, and also Super Bowl squares are on sale. So holler at your guala. And let's have something to root for, because I definitely won't be rooting for my Cowboys on Super Bowl Sunday. So have some numbers to root for instead. So
let's get the money out.
All right, that's what it is. But until next time, it's your boy A-Dub.
And your boy Shrizzy, y'all.
Peace.